Plus, do you know who your daughter is really dating? A boyfriend with a secret obsession.
I knew that he was there for me.
He's there all right, waiting with a knife. Tonight, it's all part of The Secret Life of Teens. Here's Chris Cuomo.
Now we're about to take you into a world most of you probably remember fondly. Young love, first love. But in this story, love and teenage secrets turn into obsession and out-of-control violence, and ultimately a frantic race to save a young girl's life. Here's Jim Avila.
A student at Romeo High School was attacked and stabbed in the back today.
We heard a lot of screams. He's like, I hope I killed her.
Local news reports flood the airwaves with the gruesome news.
A frightening attack in a hallway just after 7 this morning.
Star-crossed lovers in a small Michigan town, fittingly named Romeo.
The school immediately went into lockdown.
Rushed to the hospital, 16-year-old Nicole Lambert clings to life with an 8-inch kitchen knife thrust deep into her back.
When I saw her in the room laying on her stomach with that knife sticking out of her back, it hit me, and I thought, oh my God, she could die.
In the emergency room, we asked who did it. That was the first I'd heard that it was Eric.
Eric Shorling and Nicole Lambert spent most of their sophomore year as sweethearts. Eric, with his unkempt hair and slacker demeanor, played class rebel, a quality that attracted the shy and reserved Nicole. But alone with her, he showed a softer, romantic side.
Me and him were sitting in the car. The windows were getting foggy, and he wrote with his finger, "Will you go out with me?" And it was just sweet, so I said yeah.
To Nicole's friends, Eric seemed the devoted boyfriend.
He'd be like standing there waiting for her every single day outside of her class.
We were just crazy about each other.
Nicole's enthusiasm did not impress her parents, Michelle and Dan.
When you met Eric for the first time, what was your reaction?
Oh my gosh. Cut your hair, clean up, you know, with the big grungy clothes.
I refer to him as idiot slacker.
It doesn't really do any good for a parent to say, I don't like that guy, does it?
Mm-mm. No, it doesn't. Even though they didn't like him, it kind of made me like want to go out with him more. But I probably should have listened to him.
Should have listened because as the months passed, Eric's cute devotion to Nicole crossed the line to clingy possessiveness and unhealthy isolation, something experts say are warning signs of dating abuse.
He didn't want her to be anywhere except for with him.
She just seemed always preoccupied with him and like too busy to hang out.
I became like weaker. I let him control me.
Keeping her doubts about her relationship secret took its toll on Nicole.
I became depressed. I tried to like convince myself that I was happy, but I really wasn't.
Her grades were dropping, and she wasn't doing the typical teenage things that she should have been at the age of 15.
Then, a frightening turning point in the young love. Eric suddenly showed up with a surprise under his shirt, a new tattoo, a swastika.
I never thought he'd get a swastika tattoo.
It was the last straw. After 9 months of dating, Nicole had enough.
It felt like I was in prison.
I was happy to hear from her that she'd finally decided that he was a psycho.
Eric's neediness and overbearing attention disturbed Nicole, but he had never been violent until she left him, and a new, more frightening Eric began to emerge. There was a clue to Eric's menacing nature. It came early on a summer evening at the Dairy Queen. Nicole was here having an ice cream cone. She says it was the first time she saw those blue eyes turn so vivid, and her quiet boyfriend turn loud and violent.
And there's all these people there, you know, eating their ice cream, and he's yelling and swearing, and like little kids are covering their ears. And he just got up and walked away, and I was like, yeah, walk away, you Nazi. He just turned around and ran at me. My friend's boyfriend like got in front of us, and he was kind of pushing him off me, but I was like ducked over, and it was just scary.
When she told her parents what happened at the Dairy Queen, Dan Lambert called Eric's mother.
Basically, the two of us decided, well, okay, they're broken up, they'll stay apart. Okay, it's end of story.
Nicole went away for the rest of the summer, and when she came back for school, there was more good news. Eric had transferred, but he still knew where he could find her. One early September morning, as she walked down the hall to class, she sensed Eric's presence.
My heart started racing. I got really scared because I knew that he was there for me.
And before she could get away, suddenly Eric was right behind her, and Nicole felt a punch in her back.
I turn around and look at him, like in the eyes, and those eyes were the same as I seen them last time at the Dairy Queen. He had a look of satisfaction, like take that.
Nicole abruptly turned away, not realizing that Eric hadn't punched her at all. He had stabbed her.
We believe this is where Nicole was stabbed. The blood trail started.
Dave Robertson, a history teacher at Romeo High, was at school the morning of the stabbing.
And it's not really a short distance that she walked with a knife in her back, right?
No, it's amazing. It's long ways.
Remarkably, Nicole walked more than 100 feet through busy hallways with a kitchen knife in her back.
She comes in, and you see her, what are you thinking?
She's coming in with her books. She doesn't look like she's doing very well. So I approach her at the front of the classroom, and she says to me that she feels like she's been punched. And at that time, right when she says that, she drops down to her knees, and she falls forward right on the floor. And, obviously I seen the knife at that time.
Having served as an Army private in Somalia, Robertson knew that removing the knife could kill Nicole. So he made the agonizing decision to leave the blade in her back as he dialed 911. At the hospital, Dr. Friedrich Dutka assessed Nicole's condition. Eric had thrust the 8-inch blade upwards, hitting several major organs, even grazing Nicole's heart. The knife had come dangerously close to severing a vital nerve that controlled her breathing. Despite the pain she had endured, Nicole was clear about one thing.
People would come up to me and ask, who did it, and I'd just say Eric Shorling did it.
Police immediately picked up Eric and took him in for questioning. Assistant Macomb County Prosecutor Steve Kaplan found that Eric's attack on Nicole was premeditated.
About 10 minutes before Eric Shorling stabbed Nicole, he saw a female acquaintance of his. He sat down with her and he showed her the knife. And he said, "I'm going to kill Nicole."
As Nicole clung to life in the hospital, Eric faced a potential life sentence if she died.
I had a hard time leaving her side. My family would say, "You've got to get some rest. You have to come and just get something to eat." But I was so afraid I would lose her if I just looked away from her.
But after it became clear that Nicole would pull through, prosecutors struck a plea bargain with Eric.
Eric would serve 6 years and 9 months in prison and then be eligible for parole.
But 3 days after he pleaded guilty, Eric escaped from prison with 3 other inmates, telling them he wasn't finished with Nicole.
The kids that he escaped with, he told them that he's coming back, to Romeo to finish the job that he started, and that just scares me.
He was captured within hours of his escape, and prosecutors rescinded the plea agreement. Eric would now have to take his chances with a jury.
The lawyer attempted to inject into the trial that Eric was the victim, that Nicole had teased him, taunted him. Eric Shorling proudly bragged about his association or interest in Nazi paraphernalia, and then for Eric Shorling to complain after the fact that he was teased defies common sense.
The jury deliberated for only 2 hours before finding Eric guilty of attempted murder. He is now serving 10 to 15 years in prison. Nicole is graduating this spring and trying to move on by helping others to understand the consequences of abusive relationships. Nicole herself is one of the 1.5 million high school students every year who are victims of dating violence. She's even participating in peer mediation, where students help each other resolve conflicts before they escalate.
And how would you react to that situation?
I would have never in a million years thought that I'd be part of an abusive relationship. You read about that stuff in statistics and your parents tell you about it. I never thought that I'd be a part of that.